do you think wins in a fight, you or Prime Floyd?
Me.
No questions?
Why would you think that I would say Floyd?
That there's not another guy in the world that can beat you right now. That's Mayweather level. Head to head at their welterweight primes, Bud versus Floyd. I feel like a lot of us might actually be picking Bud right now. But what he achieved, I cannot put him above Mayweather or Pacquiao because he got these opportunities so late.
This is the problem with Bud's career, right? It bloomed kind of late.
Bud's been the best man for 12 years, but no one gave him credit because he didn't go tell you he was the best man. He didn't market that. He just went out and fought and beat people and knocked people out. So he had to move up and take the bigger fight.
Terence Crawford responded confidently to Floyd Mayweather's suggestion that he could beat him. Crawford asserted that he believes he could have defeated Mayweather even at his prime, emphasizing that his career has been defined by taking on every challenge. He highlighted that no one can accuse him of avoiding tough opponents, as he has always faced those willing to step into the ring. While he didn't make a direct challenge, Crawford suggested that he wouldn't shy away from a potential matchup with Mayweather if it ever became a reality.
When you start going like this, then that's when Floyd started taking over.
What do you want your legacy to be like when your career is all said and done? What do you want people to remember you for?
Oh man, everybody's asking me the question. I always be like, man, it's whatever it's their opinion. Everybody gonna have a different opinion of Terence Crawford, but one thing they can't say is that I ducked anyone. I fought everyone that was available to fight.
Dan Raphael has suggested that Terence Crawford has reached a stage in his career where taking another fight isn't necessary to secure his legacy. He points out that Crawford's achievements speak for themselves. He has dominated divisions, unified titles, and consistently beaten elite opponents without showing any vulnerability. According to Raphael, once a fighter reaches this level, the focus shifts from proving oneself to preserving one's legacy and enjoying the recognition already earned. Crawford's record, he argues, has already exceeded most expectations, and pursuing additional fights would do little to enhance his historical standing. His sustained dominance, particularly in recent years, is sufficient to ensure he is remembered among boxing's greats.
Crawford do now? Like, what's the next thing that he does? Because you look around and go, is the only way that he really gets that ultimate chance if he goes up again? And do you say, what do you do?
I don't quite. Yeah, I mean, he was asked those questions at the press conference. He made two things clear. One, he's not going back to 154, and I say that because some people suggested about possibly pursuing a fight with Ennis, who has his debut in the weight class coming up.
Yeah.
That's probably unlikely. He's not going to go back down in weight. And I mean, no disrespect to Ennis, but Ennis is a guy that's known within the diehards of boxing. He's not in any way known beyond the boundaries of the hardcore boxing fans. So yeah. I don't know if that makes sense for a lot of different reasons for him. Not to say I wouldn't, as a boxing fan, enjoy watching the fight. So, yeah. But I don't think he's going back to 154. He was asked about like a Benavides at 175, and he acknowledged like that guy's really big. I mean, that's maybe a bridge too far. He already went up to 2 weight classes to fight Canelo at 68. So it feels to me like he can either stay at 168 and defend this championship and look to the same types of names that were being thrown around as the types of guys that would have been in the mix for Canelo had he won the fight. And he's going to have mandatories. Obviously, that's the first thing they'll have to look at. I mean, I don't know if he's not going to necessarily keep the belts if he's forced into a mandatory. He doesn't need the belts at this point, but there might be something appealing to him. For example, and Billy had a great fight on the undercard, although he's been ordered to fight a rematch in that fight. Mm-hmm. That was, fight of the year against Lester Martinez, candidate for fight of the year.
Terence Crawford's decisive victory over Canelo Alvarez has sparked intense debate within the boxing community. Many fans and analysts began comparing his performance to Floyd Mayweather's own win against Canelo. While Mayweather faced a younger, less experienced Canelo, Crawford dominated a more seasoned version of the star, leading some to question whether Crawford might be considered superior. However, Luke Thomas has urged caution, noting that Crawford's career trajectory differs significantly from Mayweather's. Mayweather became a superstar early, taking on elite opponents at a young age, while Crawford's rise was delayed due to limited promotion and recognition, meaning his prime arrived later. Thomas argues that, although Crawford's win over Canelo may have been more impressive in execution, it does not automatically place him above Mayweather historically, as career timing and trajectory are crucial factors in such comparisons.
This was a masterclass. One guy with outrageous skill offensively and defensively, simply making another very good fighter look lesser than. This was the other part. The people who watch MMA and then try to watch boxing through an MMA lens, I don't know what to tell you. You're actually missing the point. The kind of specific details and the depth of the technical ability far surpasses even what you can get at the highest level of MMA, because they don't have that level of skill. There is no equivalent in MMA to Bud Crawford, because there cannot be. Bud is the most talented boxer I've seen since Mayweather.
I think Crawford is way better than Floyd Mayweather.
To be fair to Floyd, he obviously had hand problems in his whole welterweight run, and it's why he took that long stretch off in 2007, 2008, 2009 area, and Floyd's brilliance to be able to be just as great in some ways at that age. We're not here trying to dunk on Floyd. When you get a victory like this, right now, straight up, Luke, you could say that there's not a welterweight, junior middleweight, or maybe even super middleweight. When you could say over like a 4-division stretch, Bud, cut down to any of these weights, that there's not another guy in the world that can beat you right now, that's Mayweather level. Head to head at their welterweight primes, Bud versus Floyd, I feel like a lot of us might actually be picking Bud right now. But what he achieved, I cannot put him above Mayweather or Pacquiao, because he got these opportunities so late.
This is the problem with Bud's career, right? It bloomed kind of late. I find Bud to be as defensively sound as I've ever seen a fighter. He can find you. There's nowhere to hide with him.
Like Floyd, he has such control over the terms in there. It's just insane.
Buddy McGirt was one of Crawford's most enthusiastic supporters following the Canelo fight, calling the performance a complete display of dominance. He noted that Crawford controlled the bout from start to finish, never allowing Canelo to set the pace or impose his typical aggressive style. According to McGirt, the victory was so decisive that a rematch is unnecessary, as the skill and execution gap was evident to all viewers. He also emphasized that this win secured the legacy Crawford has long pursued, giving him a signature triumph over a fighter of Canelo's caliber. In McGirt's view, Crawford has nothing left to prove. The Canelo fight stands as a defining chapter in his career and solidifies his place among boxing's greats.
Yes.
Like, what fight were they watching?
Right.
I mean, it's. I don't know, man. I don't know what some of these guys be doing in this game, man. Some people, in situations like that, they should ask them, listen, just turn in your license, bro. Because there's no way in hell the fight was that close.
Right.
I mean, come on, man. It's just, it's not fair. It's not fair. You get a guy like Terence got here and dominate from beginning to end, and then you find out he needed the last 2 rounds to win. That's scary, man.
It is. And you see how you just mentioned scary. Now, a lot of people are saying, buddy, that type of beating, he's not going to want a rematch. But looking at those gold cards and knowing that, hey, you wasn't too far behind, even though, he did mention that, he's better than Mayweather. But I mean, what's your thoughts? Do you feel like that was such a beating that Canelo wouldn't want a rematch?
No, I think that, in all honesty, personally, I think that Canelo's at that stage in his career right now, that it's a rematch he don't need. He don't need it. You know what I mean? What we saw that night, that's the stage Canelo's at right now. I mean, he's fought everybody, he's did everything, but, you know what I mean? He passed the torch to the right guy. You know what I mean? He passed the torch to the right guy. You know what I mean? He lost it to Terence fair and square, and he passed the torch. So, if you're going to have another fight, cool, but you don't need to. He has nothing to prove. He fought Terence and nobody else would.
When comparing Terence Crawford to Floyd Mayweather, analysts often emphasize the mental aspect of Mayweather's game as the edge that set him apart. While Crawford is widely recognized for his technical brilliance, his ability to switch stances, adjust on the fly, and dismantle opponents with precision, many argue that Mayweather brought an additional layer of psychological mastery to the ring. Floyd not only excelled physically but also controlled his opponents' minds, provoking mistakes and disrupting their strategies. This mental dominance is often cited as the defining difference between the two fighters. Crawford's skills are unquestionably elite, yet Mayweather's ability to combine technique with psychological control elevates him in the eyes of many boxing historians. The comparison highlights how close Crawford is to being ranked alongside Floyd, while also underscoring the unique mental dimension that made Mayweather so formidable.
Hagler, Hearns, I've seen Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler. Like I've seen all those things, and those fights were wars. Floyd Mayweather is the best boxer I've ever seen. He's the most skilled boxer I've ever seen. Bud, and this is just my opinion, is the baddest man I've seen wear boxing gloves. And here's why I say that.
RC.
Here's why I say that. Bud is extremely skilled, right? Yet not as skilled as Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather made people look foolish, right? And so if I had to say who's the greatest I've seen, and Bud said it right, the best of an era and the best of an era, it's Floyd. But when I watched Bud against Canelo, there was this extreme skill on display, and there was a level of crazy that's different. There was a level of, and Floyd's extremely tough. Go back to Shane Mosley and the 2 punches he landed early in the fight and the way that he embarrassed him. I'm not saying that Floyd's not tough, Floyd's not a bad man, but there was domination inside that ring we saw this weekend. And there's no fear in him in the way that he's attacked gaining notoriety. Bud's been the baddest man for 12 years. But no one gave him credit because he didn't go tell you he was the baddest man. He didn't market that. He just went out and fought and beat people and knocked people out. So he had to move up and take the bigger fights and the better fights. And he was Errol Spence.
For more than a decade, Terence Crawford has been demonstrating his exceptional skills, yet his quiet demeanor and lack of flashy showmanship often caused him to be overlooked in the boxing world. Unlike fighters who thrive on bold self-promotion and theatrics, Crawford let his in-ring performances speak for themselves. While this approach earned him respect among purists, it limited his mainstream recognition early in his career. Only recently, with high-profile bouts against Errol Spence Jr. and Canelo Alvarez, has the wider public begun to fully appreciate his talent. Critics, however, argue that this recognition has arrived late, as Crawford is already well into his career. Though he may continue to add to his accomplishments, the opportunity to cement a long-lasting mainstream legacy is narrowing, prompting some to wonder how differently his career might have been viewed had he received the spotlight earlier.
Great he was. Canelo cemented him on what is the two-headed monster that marks the greatest of the 2000s. Floyd Mayweather is on that, and Bud Crawford is right next to him. I don't think we have to pick on who's better. I think they both dominated their eras equally.
Floyd Mayweather has often faced criticism for his reluctance to acknowledge other boxing greats, including Muhammad Ali, who is widely regarded as the greatest of all time. Now, with Terence Crawford achieving milestones that place him in similar elite company, questions about Mayweather's ego have resurfaced. Crawford's decisive victory over Canelo Alvarez has sparked conversations that could elevate him into the same historical discussions as Floyd. For someone so protective of his legacy, this can be difficult to accept. Critics suggest that Mayweather thrives on being viewed as the ultimate benchmark of boxing excellence, and when another fighter begins to occupy that space, it challenges his image. This perception of pride, or even jealousy, fuels speculation that Floyd struggles with seeing others celebrated at his level, adding tension to the public discourse surrounding Crawford's rise.
Puts him on par with Floyd Mayweather Jr., and you know Floyd Mayweather Jr. doesn't like that. Floyd Mayweather Jr. is one of the biggest egos in the sport, so much so that he could not find a way to give Muhammad Ali credit as being a top 5 fighter and claimed that Roberto Duran sits above Muhammad Ali, right? Why? Because Floyd wants to be better than Muhammad Ali. He completely redid his image when he became Money Mayweather to pretty much copy from calling himself the GOAT, calling himself TBE, right? Whole thing. Very disrespectful of Muhammad Ali when he was coming up, when after Floyd Mayweather Jr. wound up being at the top of the sport. So now that Terence Crawford has firmly placed himself at the top of boxing, and not just as the pound for pound fighter right now, many people are saying, hey, Shouldn't he be considered one of the greatest fighters of all time? Isn't this a realistic conversation we can have? So what does that do? That butts Terence Crawford right up against Floyd Mayweather. So when Floyd was asked a series of questions, right? Because Floyd has a fight coming up. I do believe it maybe in January. I think it may be in January or early 2026, I believe is the time frame, where Floyd Mayweather Jr. is going to be fighting Mike Tyson I believe this is going to be an exhibition.
Sean Porter spoke with Terence Crawford about what drives him to take on challenges that others thought were beyond his reach. Crawford explained that, for years, critics questioned his ability to compete at the highest level. Instead of shying away from that pressure, he welcomed it, using it as motivation to prove his doubters wrong. His wins over Errol Spence Jr. and Canelo Alvarez stand not only as career-defining moments but also as personal vindications, putting to rest years of skepticism and criticism.
Get close to him when you want to, not when he wants you to. And you know what I mean? That's how it was.
I know, I'm sorry, I know this is bad production, but we gonna need you to turn that phone to the side. I know, I'm thinking about Happy right now. I'm like, he know better. That's better. Go ahead, Ant, go ahead.
Hey, but you know how, man, me and Sean, we know you personally. I had people telling me, nah, man, this is just a money grab. He just went up there for the money. I said, man, if you know this dude, but you mentally, bro, I put you in the same category as Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. I'm like, he wants to be great. Y'all want the money, but want to be great. Where that come from, man?
It's just me, you know what I mean? Like, I think all the greats is just born with that competitiveness, you know? And like I said, you know, a lot of people, they didn't want me to accomplish the feat over Canelo. Mm-hmm. It wasn't that it wasn't possible. They didn't want me to be the one to do it because I was the one that they was blackballing for years. I was the one that they said, you know, wasn't gonna make it to this table. I was the one that they said couldn't sell. I was the one that they said, you know, made bad business decisions. So of course they don't want me to be the one to make it to the top and then conquer.
Porter emphasized that Crawford's readiness to confront challenges head-on sets him apart as a fighter. Rather than seeking easier matchups, Crawford deliberately pursued the toughest opponents to prove he belonged at the top. This approach has propelled him into the discussion of all-time greats, ensuring that his legacy will be remembered not only for his talent but also for his resilience, determination, and unwavering mindset.